Okay, you're good.
I'm Troy from, our new name is Troy Life and Fire Safety. It's not called Edwards anymore, it's just a different company name. What else do you want to know? Phone number is 250-860-3991. That's the office. The person to talk to there would probably be Lindsay. Her extension is extension 105. So that's probably your best contact.
Super.
Okay, so this is the fire alarm panel here. It's our newest model that we have, actually, brand new spanking model, so that basically means we're not sure what's going to go wrong with it yet.
Where does that key come from?
This key right here?
Yeah.
You should have been given at least 4 of them, because you get 2 with this panel, and then there's a red box somewhere in the building. It's a booster power supply. Same key, you should have given 2 for that too.
So the owner does get a copy of that key?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And if you guys have anything associated with the other site up in Kelowna, it's exact same key for all of them. So you've got tons of keys, people, whoever, I can't remember who owns this site, so it's the same as Apple Valley is what I'm talking about. So it's a fully addressable fire alarm system, and what that means is that every detector in here, every smoke detector, every heat detector, every pull station, there's one somewhere around here, probably on the other side of the wall. Yep. Every pull station is addressable, meaning when something happens to that device, on the screen here, it's going to tell you exactly where it is. So if it's in the hallway outside of room 103 or whatever, smoke detector going off, it's going to tell you that exactly. That's a really bonus feature, not only for you, but also for the fire department, obviously. There's 3 types of things that could possibly happen on this panel that are going to make it start beeping locally, and that you guys need to be aware of. The differences are there's alarm, there's troubles, and there's supervisories. These are the 3 different kind of events that can possibly happen here. You've got a light for each one. You've got fire alarm here, supervisory light is right here, and trouble light is right here. The most important one, obviously, is fire alarm, right? That's when the smoke detector goes off, somebody's pulled the pull station. If you've got water flowing through your sprinkler system, that's also monitored by this system, so it'll go off. As soon as this fire alarm light comes on, it's going to go on red. Your bells and your strobes and your horns and all that sort of good stuff, instantaneously it's going to go off. This light's going to flash red. It's going to tell you on the screen exactly which device has gone off. And you're also going to get a red light over here for the zone that's gone off. This zone stuff over here is really for the fire department. They prefer to look at this rather than look at the screen. They haven't really adjusted to the technology yet, but soon they will.
Can I ask a question before you go? You mentioned that the general alarm, the major alarm, will also go off on the smoke detectors. Is that correct?
Yes. You have to distinguish, though, an important thing for a building manager. You have to distinguish between a system smoke and a smoke inside of a unit. Okay. Here you've got 120 volt smokes, which are just local smokes for the rooms.
Right.
If that goes off when somebody's burning toast, or maybe a showered steam can set those off, dust can set those off, there's a number of things that can set these things off. That's not going to set the system off.
That's what I wanted to do.
That goes off in the units. I believe also inside these units you have handicap suites.
2.
A couple of them. So the strobes inside there.
We haven't got those installed.
Okay. Well, usually in a handicap suite, you'll have the 120 volt smoke, and that'll be directly wired to a strobe. So in case they're deaf, you got the flashing lights. Right?
So it's like our other building in that respect. I just wanted to clear that up, because you gave us the impression that smoke would...
It is a common thing. Like, we get called a lot of the time, like, oh, hey, a smoke detector went off, but the system didn't go off. Is it broken? No, it's not broken. It's just those smokes aren't connected to the system. The only ones that are connected to the system are the ones in the hallways.
Right.
Common areas. And you might say, well, what about the units? What happens if there's a fire in the unit? That's where you got the sprinkler head.
Sure.
When a sprinkler head goes off, then this thing goes off.
Clear. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Any more questions?
Just a matter of testing.
We'll get to that. Okay. So fire alarm goes off, bells are ringing. You guys don't touch the panel. Right? You're evacuating. Get out of time, right? If it was a 2-stage system, that would be a little different, but you've only got a single-stage system here. So as soon as the thing's going off, that's your signal to there's probably a problem. Get out, right? When the fire department shows up, you guys have this monitored, probably. Yep. So it's monitored, so it's going to dial out. You guys don't have to do anything, right? Unless you have your own little procedures here. Some places do have their own procedure. But this thing is automatically going to dial out to whoever your monitoring station is. They're going to call the fire department. The fire department's going to show up. When they show up, they want to hear some sort of bells ringing, right? So you're not to silence it or touch it or do anything. Little quirk with your building, there's new fire code. To my knowledge, you're probably the only building in Penticton right now that does this.
Nice to be a pioneer.
Yeah, nice to be different, right? New fire code states that what you've got is in-suite silencing. So you've got those things going on in the units, right? You've got the ones in the hallways. You've also got the ones in the units that are going to notify the people in the suites. Let's say you've got a problem on the second floor. After 1 minute, everything other than the second floor, all the suite stuff is going to stop going. Okay? All the stuff in the hallways is still going to be going blaring and going, but all the stuff in the suites is going to stop, except for the level that the problem is on. Okay. After 10 minutes, if nobody's responded to the panel to reset it or silence it or whatever, the rest of the suites are going to reactivate. And then, I don't know why, because after a minute people should be getting out anyways, right? So it's a little quirk. It's new fire code. All the buildings from now on have to be like that. Yours is the first that I know of in Penticton. There might be other companies doing it elsewhere, but as far as I know, you're the first. Shouldn't really become much of an issue. You know, the fire department might show up, like, well, why wasn't this happening? That's wrong, right? Okay. So that's for fire alarm.
Troy,
Yep.
if there's a problem, like say they know someone's pulled a police station,
Yeah.
is there any way to silence it so that at least until probably the fire department's gonna show up anyway, is there any way to silence it so that people aren't in a panic when they know what the problem is?
That's a little bit of a sketchy issue because, like I said, when the fire department shows up, they like to have bells and whistles and see all your people gathered outside, right? If you've witnessed somebody, like a kid or something was in here and you witnessed
That's what I'm
them pull
referring
it, then by all means, you might want to confer this with Ken or the fire department, the chief or the inspector. But I would recommend, sure, I got no problem with somebody coming in. You press alarm signal silence. Right here, there's two different buttons on here. You've got signal silence, which is for everything's going off, and you've also got this acknowledge and panel silence button. That's for this local thing is going to start going beep, beep, beep whenever there's a problem. You can silence that beeping noise by hitting acknowledge panel silence.
But if it's just a vandal or whatever.
If it's a vandal, you come in, you can stop the bells and whistles by signal silence.
At that point, we have to phone fire department.
I would call ahead, call the fire department because like instantaneously this thing is going to the monitor station, going to the fire department. You can call them and say, hey, we witnessed this, yada yada yada. I'm not sure what they would do if they would call it off or if they would still respond.
Depends how far they've already
their bag, right?
So to prevent a panic of being seniors, of trying to evacuate the building, you could just run down.
You know, it actually
does. And that'll turn off all the hall,
That'll turn off
and the suite.
That turns off everything. And if you do have that button pressed, like you hit the signal silence, and let's say you think it was a false alarm, but actually it's not, and like say another device goes off, it will re-trigger.
Yes.
And it will go again. So
Probably wouldn't hurt to speak to the fire department.
what's that?
It wouldn't hurt to speak to
No.
the fire
Not at
department
all.
to say, would we be allowed to do this, or would you prefer if we didn't? Because we don't want to be wrapped, get it.
Wrapped in a thing there.
Exactly.
I always say, no matter what, don't do anything.
No, let's
You know,
act.
like,
Let's- yeah,
just
that's
let
for
it,
sure.
let it go. So,
Better to be safe than sorry.
yeah. Okay, so that's fire alarm. That's obviously the most important thing. The other two events, remember I said, there's supervisory and there's troubles, okay? Supervisories you don't really need to be concerned with. That's typically not going to happen. The only time supervisory is going to happen is when somebody is playing with their sprinkler system and they've closed the valve to the system, okay? When somebody closes a valve, obviously you want to know, because if somebody closes the valve and leaves it closed, there's no water in the system, it's not going to work when it comes time for you to work. So this just monitors the fact that a valve is open or closed. If it does go into supervisory mode, it's going to stay that way until you hit reset, okay? Because
Will it tell us where the bell is?
absolutely, it'll say, this one, I didn't do the programming on this one. You might have one general. See, yeah, you've got this light here that says main valve tampers, so you're gonna have probably 3 valves that are a possibility there. You're gonna have 2 backflow preventers, and you're gonna have 1 main incoming.
Yeah.
They might all just say main. They're not gonna, but they're all in the same place. So if you were to go and inspect that situation, you would say, oh, okay, this one's closed, right? The other one is you got your floor tamper valve, and that's per floor. You've also got tamper. That will come up and say on the screen here. That'll say first floor tamper, second floor tamper, whatever. The only way this is ever going to reset is if that valve is back in the open position and somebody comes down here and hits reset, then it's gonna clear, and it's gonna be gone. But like I said, the only time you really have to worry about that is in a maintenance situation where you've got
Which is very rare,
working on it.
basically, yeah.
There's no reason why anybody should really ever be playing with those valves, unless of course you've had a problem, somebody's knocked it off, or like mechanical damage or whatever, then you, someone themselves has to go and close the valves, right? And of course, that's a pretty heavy situation, because you need to have these things filled with water, right? Okay, the third thing that happens here is a trouble. Now that's probably the most typical thing that's gonna happen to you guys, is that's when there's a problem in the system. Everything on the system, doesn't matter what it is, everything that you can possibly think of is monitored by this system. So if you decide, I wanna take that bell off right there, the system's gonna know about it, it's gonna start beeping at you. If you decide to move a smoke detector, or try and move a pull station or something like that, the system's gonna start beeping at you, it's gonna know about it. Just give you an example. If your battery is mistakenly disconnected, or say you've got a low battery for whatever reason, it'll take a few seconds here, but the system should realize that it doesn't have this thing wired up anymore, and it's gonna start beeping at us. Here we go, that's what it sounds like. It's in trouble. Kind of lights up. You guys are probably monitored for trouble, so right now, as we speak, this thing is calling your monitoring station. You guys have given them, hopefully, a list of people who would contact in a situation that this is a trouble. They're about to call somebody. Maybe it's one of you guys, I don't know. We'll see if it works. Okay, so it's going like this. You're the maintenance person, somebody's called you, hey, this thing's beeping. Come up here, acknowledge this. It's gonna go quiet for you, and you can read on the screen what's going on. Right here, I got battery missing, so it thinks the battery's missing, right? Because I've unplugged it. There's possibility that you've got, you see this up here, it says A001. It's a possibility you have more than one trouble. You can scroll through this by using 0 keys up and down. It'll scroll through if you got like 4 troubles, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now these troubles reset when the trouble situation has been rectified. So you come in here, you see battery trouble, oh, what's happened? This wire has accidentally come off, right? Usually for trouble though, what you're going to do is you're going to get a phone call from whoever. They're just going to tell you it's in trouble. They're not going to be able to give you any specific information. In the case of a trouble, the best thing to do is to call whoever your maintenance or service provider is for this thing. Hopefully that's us, because it is our panel, and we install it, we know most of the building. But you're not obligated to call us. Just heads up, I do live in Penticton. So I'm just down the street, and if you've got a problem with it, I'm here all the time. We have 24 hours on call, so happens any time of night, something's always
I
there.
want to check that battery connection.
Oh, if it's in there, it'll just take that. There it goes.
No, like take a look at how you pushed it on there. It's not actually connected on properly. Take a look from the end. There you go. You're slid under the jacket.
It was?
Yep.
Good eyesight.
Craziness. Okay. So it's back on. So in the trouble situation, if you can read the screen and maybe you think you can deal with it, like low battery or something, you just want to replace the batteries, then that's cool. But if it's something that you don't think you can deal with, then you call somebody. Now, and one thing about that, the acknowledge, is not too sure how Nick actually programmed the system, but there is a feature of this that every 24 hours, if you come here and you say, okay, low battery, I'm going to silence it right now. I can't do it right now, but I'll get to it. If you don't get to it within 24 hours, it's going to restart beeping at you. Okay, so it's not going to let you forget that
Until you get it fixed.
that you silence the button, right? That's just a safety feature. Now, we do have the ability to program that out of the system. Sometimes a lot of the guys do, because it becomes a nuisance sometimes, and we get calls like every 24 hours, like, this thing's beeping again, this thing's beeping again right now. But I'm not sure how he's done it, but usually I leave that feature in because I like it, but some of the other guys take it out.
And it's better to leave it in and deal with the problem.
Because if somebody just silences it and forgets it, it's like a major deal, like, you're missing half your floor devices or something. That's a problem. That's pretty much it. That's all I can think
Okay,
of.
but you're going to tell us to test the alarm.
To test alarm, you're talking about a monthly test?
Yes.
The easiest thing to do for a monthly test, first thing you always do is
Call the fire
call the fire department. In your case, you're not going to call the fire department though, you're going to call your monitoring station first, because this doesn't go directly to the fire department, it goes to a third party first. You do have the option of calling both. You can also, if you just wanted to call the fire department to see if it's actually going to work, that they call the fire department, you can do that. Either way, it's fine. Usually when I'm doing the test, I just call the monitoring station. Sometimes I get a courtesy call to the fire department if I think they need it, or if you're in a situation where people don't know you're testing.
Right.
Somebody might just 911.
That might be- that
testing.
might be
So
the-
that's why you call the fire department.
That might be
And
alarm.
so you're gonna pull a pull station, or if you have smoke check stuff, then you can probably buy a Canadian Tire or own, you can test smoke detector if you want. You let the bells ring, you check to make sure everything's going off. Come back, you're hitting your alarm signal silence here button to quiet the alarms down, and then you're just making sure that if you pull the pull station, you reset it. So do you know how to use the screw?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
And then you're making sure that that's reset, you hit reset, and it's all gonna go back to
Same as our
normal.
other building, basically.
Call the station again.
Yeah.
Test is done.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Good,
Okay.
same as our other, good.
Yep.
That makes it simple.
Now, do we know who monitors this?
We need,
Yeah, it's, no, I think